It's close enough.
It's close enough. Okay, good morning. It's the school run. Okay, that's the school run done, and I'm going to go walk. Personal circumstances are such that I've got a bit of time on my hands at the moment. The novelty of that is starting to wear off already, so to stop myself from going a bit stir crazy, and in the spirit of men's health, I'm going to walk. Got a couple of other little things on my agenda for this, and so here we go. I'm about to cross the Kincardine Bridge. It's almost rush, well, it's just past rush hour, so a bit noisy, a bit busy. I've got a couple of things on my agenda for this trip. One is my one-man bridge barrier campaign, which I'll explain in a second, and the other is to share a couple of little safety things with you when I stop for a coffee later on. This is Kincardine Bridge. It's a lot of years old. I can't remember the date of it. Is up on that control tower thing there. Anyway, that's by the by. My campaign is such that this bridge, hold on, has a 30-mile-an-hour limit and a nice and substantial protection barrier right in front of you here to protect me, the pedestrian, walking across the bridge. That's great. The bridge I'm going to come back over is the Clacks Bridge over there, and it will be visibly very clear what my campaign is about when we get there, and you'll see. I won't leave you in suspense, but basically that's the 60-mile-an-hour bridge, which is great. I don't want anybody to reduce the speed in it. I use that bridge myself in the car, but I am campaigning for a barrier just like this one. I will show you, and you can see for yourself the difference and how vulnerable myself and several other people, I'm not the only person concerned about this, I just seem to be the only person that's acting on it. So, okay, I've taken a picture of this just in case you don't see it, but 1936, Kincardine on Forth Bridge was opened, constructed, not sure. A little bit of a history lesson for you. This part of the River Forth was apparently one of the busiest, if not the busiest, shipbuilding places in Scotland, when they used to build ships with wooden hulls, not the big steel, iron things we see today, but yeah, wooden hulls. This place was teeming. And Corus, further down that way, there are some paintings or photographs of it in its heyday, and it was indeed heaving. This little thing here, right, this whole structure that I'm looking at used to pivot around in the middle to allow bigger ships through, because obviously there's only so much height between the bridge and the water. I'd love to be able to tell you how much, but obviously it varies with the tide. And yeah, they used to got this ladder thing here, in there, and that tower in there. Now, I remember seeing a program recently. That tower is part of some maritime museum. You can't get in it to see it, but what I saw on the telly, it's immaculate. So it's a bit of a shame that you can't actually get in for a look around. Anyway, does anybody know their bird footprints? I did see a heron take off a minute ago. They're quite common in these parts, but whatever that is. Please leave a comment below if you know who they belong to. Reminds me of the rice paddies back in Nam. Aye, Birmingham. Okay, we're about to go underneath the Clacks Bridge. To cross the Clacks Bridge in a sort of clockwise, or the bridges in a clockwise fashion, you have to go into this kind of underpass. It's kind of a paper clippy shaped idea. You go up and around, under, back onto the bridge, over the bridge, and then another sort of paper clippy shape before actually being across the other side of the river. So, belly of the bridge is actually a tunnel from end to end. I know this because two little rascals that I know, not so little these days, actually went in there when they were constructing this thing. But it'd been kind of cool if you could still do that. But anywho, these are quite common to Scotland. Less so now as the red squirrel takes over, but these grey squirrels, they're in decline. Still got a few left though. You're about to see part 2 of my bridge campaign. Every time you cross this bridge, you feel like you're taking your life in your hands. Now I'm kind of on the incline at the moment towards the centre of the bridge, but I think it feels even worse when you're on the descent over the other side. The traffic seems to speed up in anticipation of this single lane switching to 2 lanes. Now this is the curb that is protecting me from the traffic, and I can tell you now it's about 3.5 inches high. And somebody checking their phone, looking in the golf box, changing the station, trying to see the kids in the back. It would be very easy to mount this curb and flatten me and or some other unsuspecting pedestrian. It feels lethal. I don't know what this lane is between the curb and the white line. It's not wide enough to be a cycle lane. There aren't any cycle lane markings in it. So it's just a dead zone. No pun intended. Put a barrier right in there. I don't wish to see the traffic being slowed from 60 to 40, but if you had to do that to make us safe, I'll take one for the team for that one. But a barrier right there. Now I've started a campaign on Twitter. I'm trying to retweet it every day in the hope that eventually somebody will listen. This is to you, Clackmannanshire Council, Amy PLC, Clackmannanshire Police, whoever else is responsible for this bridge. I hope that you listen and you put a barrier here. I hope that somewhere down the line somebody doesn't get killed, me or anyone else, and then later on in the papers is somebody picks up on some fat ginger bloke who'd been tweeting for 100 days or more and you did nothing about it. So you could be proactive and put a barrier in. And while I'm on that central bit there, the brown strip, the cat's eyes are filthy and there is no lighting on this bridge. So on a dark, wet autumn winter night, there is pretty much nothing separating traffic that is travelling at 60 plus mile an hour on this bridge. Do the maths. Do the maths. There will be carnage on here at some point. Somebody's going to die. Be proactive. Fix it. You might even get a bonus at the end of the year. Talking of men's health, that's mental. I was just taking a picture of those flowers back there, and a woman in a silver Astra stopped to ask if I was okay. It restores your faith in humanity, doesn't it? I was a bit more concerned about her actually. She had a kid in her back and she stopped on this single bit of carriageway with all the cars rushing up behind her. So I had to kind of assure her that I was okay and urge her to get moving quick. I didn't want her to have an accident or somebody run in the back of her because she stopped to see if I was okay. But that's nice. That's moved me a bit, that has. This is where the traffic really starts to speed up, as I mentioned earlier on. The lanes switch. You see there's one lane this side, 2 lanes the other. Just around this bend, it switches to 2 lanes going north, 1 lane coming south. Anticipation of that lane change. A lot of the cars speed up. It's a bend as well, and for me, the pedestrian, still no barrier. Starts to become even more dicey. Okay, so I'm out of harm's way now, relatively. I'm about to do the second sort of paper clippy type maneuver to go under the bridge. I'm going to stop for a coffee there, but just to see the sort of descent, the decline coming off the bridge and the traffic coming down the way. Flipping heckers. I'm trying to see some beauty in this, but what a grey day. I think I can only discern about 4 colours in that entire scene. Okay, so we're under the bridge, nice and dry. I'm going to stop for a little coffee break and a little chat. Oi. Right, what have we got here today? Oh, this is my trusty old Berghaus bag. This is old school Berghaus, back when they used to make them out of man-made materials instead of hemp and bits they'd stolen from other planets. So it's nothing too special. 2 things I want to show you before I tuck in for my coffee. This is an emergency shelter. Don't anticipate using it today, but I suppose you never do. It's a 2-person thing. It actually, I could try and show you it fitting in, but basically fits into this kind of vent sock bit. Doesn't take a whole lot of room up. I don't take it away when I'm hiking overnight. Hiking? That sounds American. Wild camping overnight. Because I've got my tent. All being well, I should be able to use that if I got into trouble. But in my day bag, when I go for a walk, I always take it. I take it with the family as well. It's a 2-person one, but we've tried it already. It fits our whole family in here. And the obvious thing is it protects you from the elements. The wind, for the wind chill, the rain. There's also a little window in here so you can see how bad it's getting or has gotten. So it takes you out of the elements. It also provides a bit of shelter if you just want a bit of peace from the weather to get your lunch or your snacks or your coffee or whatever. I wouldn't advise cooking in it. It's then you're just going to end up shrink wrapping yourself. But it's good because you can, if one of you is injured, then you can take shelter in it. I would advise if there was 3 of you, I think the rule of thumb is that if there's three of you, one's injured, somebody stays with the injured person, somebody else goes for help. But it might be you might be on your own, so you can hunker down, and if you're fortunate enough to have a phone signal, you can phone for help and basically stay in here until help arises. Obviously it's bright orange, it's got reflective bits in it, and that's one of your sort of best chances of being seen and rescued. So that's the safety bag. Safety, what the heck is it called? Emergency shelter. Alright, so that would be in here. The second thing is a first aid kit. It's not in a typical first aid bag, but it's because I had more stuff in it. I don't anticipate using this either today, but I thought I'd bring it along for the chat as I didn't include it in my gear video. In here, there's not a lot of clever stuff in here. My wife is a nurse, the current Mrs. B, and she took a look through the first aid kit and discerned that I actually wouldn't be able to use most of it. I don't know how to use it, I'm not trained. So it's mostly plasters. Dressings, and sort of antiseptic stuff. There's even stuff, well, hand gel, antiseptic. There's healing Savlon. That helps if you're getting blisters in your feet. It acts like a sort of second skin. It's very hard to get off. It's quite fun if you've got hairy hobbit toes, but it does work. Try not to use it, but I have used it. There's also post Midgie bike stuff in here. There's a tick removing thing. That's as clever as it gets for me, because that's all I know how to use. There's no point in having a load of surgical implements for heart transplant and stuff if you don't know how to use it. I have got a little first aid book here, which on occasion I try and have a read through while you're sitting in your tent doing nothing. So, oh, there's a guide here. Again, better reading through it before something happens than after, or refreshing yourself from time to time. So rather than having a load of stuff I can't use, have stuff that I can use. If I really wanted to go a stage better, get myself a bit of first aid training. That's the answer to that. And so that I know how to use more stuff, to be more help to people, you can put more stuff in your kit. But until then, I keep it nice and basic. And let's hope nothing happens. What else we got in here? Your father wanted you to have this when you're old enough, but your uncle wouldn't allow it. He feared you might follow old Obi-Wan on some damn full idealistic crusade like your father did. What is it? Your father's thermos. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster. Shut up. Right, that's my coffee. So I'm going to have that just now. And current Mrs. B even was good enough to put in some snacks as well. Let's see what else I've got in here. Oh, sandwich and a chocolate roll. Nice one. Thanks, Mrs. B. Right, I'm going to enjoy this in peace and leave you to whatever you're doing. I just realised I called this a thermos. That's probably a trade name like Hoover. So, in the spirit of equality and diversity, it's actually a Primus. As you were. Right, that's coffee break over. That was nice. Chilled out a bit. Reviewed a couple of the videos. I apologise again for some of them being a little bit shouty with the traffic. But maybe the subject matter of my video, particularly with the bridge campaign, maybe that needs to be a bit shouty. Maybe I shouldn't apologise for that. I should keep shouting. So I'm done. Oh, forgot to mention this. Trusty old seat pad. That's the difference between a chilly bum and a nice comfy seat. Take it anywhere. And that costs probably about a £5. Life changing. Right. A little history lesson. Well, recent history. This is the Clackmannanshire crossing. It's actually the longest bridge of its kind. I think there was one done previously in France, but this one's longer. Of its kind, what I mean by that is that it was actually pushed out section by section from the bank way back there. Each of these legs has like kind of rollers on it, and it was pushed out, and apparently there was a critical point as it got near the highest point of the bridge, the middle, because if they pushed a teeny bit too hard, it would have popped up in the middle. I don't know if any of you build a scale X tricks and you're trying to clip it together and it would suddenly pop up. That's what it would have done on a grander scale. Funny little story as well, one of the workers fell off it into the river, or fell off a boat, sorry, when they were putting in the legs into the river. And he claimed that he lost his Rolex that his great old uncle had given him. This is one of the two gigantic power lines we have that go over the river here. There's a lot of power lines around here. One of my other videos I referred to the fact that we have so many around here. It's one of the reasons I think that you don't see many helicopters. Lethal to helicopters for obvious reasons. But yeah, you can see the flashing lights atop these from many miles around. Looking out over there is Kincardine Bridge that I came over earlier on. Probably not the most glamorous day or river scene. I like to refer to this as the Muddy End. It used to be the name of when I first got a YouTube account, it was called the Muddy End, because if you go to Edinburgh, the water, well, not every day I'm sure, but a lot of the time it's kind of greener. You see the sailing boats, it all looks very posh. But then you come up to this end, the sort of business end of the Forth, and it's, yeah, silty, and the muddy end of the Forth. Not pretty. Right, what you're looking at here is apparently the most easterly point of Glasgow Airport, part of the air traffic control. I can't remember how long ago that was put up. It's since I've lived here anyway, so within the last I don't know, 12 years or something. It's not that well protected. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of security, so I look at it and I've kind of tempted to go up the ladders, climb up through the hatch in the left hand corner up there and get a seat on that gun bit spinning about. It'd be kind of like a limited waltzer. Well, limited in that you'd eventually get arrested, I'm sure, with my laddie butt on it. It's going to block out a few planes, so I won't. Just a thought. I just disturbed him. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, an upper-crusted chav warbler. He says, trying to sound all ornithological, yeah, birds and that. Kincardine Bridge again in the foreground. Not so easy to see at the moment, the water's quite high, but they're actually the carcasses of boats just peeking above the surface out there. That's me back into Kincardine. I managed to track down where the wife's been hiding the car, so I've nicked that. Confession time. This morning, having had a kind of difficult weekend, I thought I'll get myself by the scruff of the neck and go for a walk. Got up, did the school run as you saw, and I'll be honest, even after the school run, I really just wanted to go back home, pull the curtains shut, curl up under the duvet. Sounds pretty grim, and so I'm glad I've left this message until the end of the walk, because having done that little walk across the bridges, stopped for a little break with a coffee, taken in some of the sights, shared them with you, I cannot deny that I feel better. So if that's what it's going to take to get through this little patch for me, then I'm going to walk my legs off by Christmas. But anyway, yeah, I even caught myself whistling along the way. I could just feel things getting lighter. So if that's how your day, week or month has been going, I can testify. Grab yourself by the scruff of the neck, get up, just do. Don't even think about it. Do your teeth, get washed, get dressed, get your appropriate gear together. Just keep moving, just get it together. Go through the front door, lock it behind you, and go on a little adventure, and you will feel better. I can tell you that. I feel better. So hope you've enjoyed the video. Please check out my Twitter thing for that little campaign about the bridge barrier. I hope that gets very much bigger and that somebody listens. Now I've got to do is think about what adventures for tomorrow. I've already got one idea for later on in this week, so let tomorrow worry about tomorrow. See you later.